Hello, welcome back to another episode on the 8 HP Turbo LAMIK install into the E90. There's been some progress, though I know there hasn't been a video for a few days. I have pulled the engine out! And you can't see because it's probably a bit dark. But that is the engine that was in the Flomax car that decided to lose a little bit of compression, and that is the new built motor. I have got to say, swapping the engines over was a bigger job than I remember. I did actually film it all back in 2020 when I did the same job on my 17T car. But yeah, I'd forgotten how much work's involved and how many accessories and all that sort of stuff. It's basically been 2 days of, 2 days to get it out, get everything swapped over, and get it sat back on the subframe, ready to drop the car down. As you can see, we have the Turbo LAMIK adapter plate on the motor, which I'm about to take off, but we'll look at that in a minute. This episode is actually going to be on modifying the bell housing to allow access for the starter motor. But before we get into that, you might notice the mechatronics is back in. In fact, we've got it all hooked up to the Turbo LAMIK, and I did do a test yesterday, but I just want to give a quick shout out to Stuart for sending the all-alloy filter pan. I forgot what it was called then, but there, the oil pan. Now this is a standard capacity oil pan, but it does have a changeable or a serviceable filter bolted into the bottom so you can reuse the pan. It's from URO Auto Parts, and it's going to go to good use. Thank you very much, Stuart, for sending it through. I nearly called you AK335. Right, so this video, let's get on with it. The first thing I want to show you guys, in fact, since the mechatronic and everything is in, it's epoxied, let's do a test. And I actually got this back in yesterday. I've been turning it on and off, checking everything. We've got Tuner Pro connected at the moment. That is the LAMIK display. Let me just power it up, and I'll talk about the shifter in a moment. So hopefully we'll only see error code 33. So 33 is an error with a CAN bus. Let's just do its checks. Everything is working fine, and you can see we are in program mode 1. Yep. You can change it like that. Oh, why isn't that changing? P5. Oh, it's a bit slow. P4, 3. I need to check that. What's going on there? 1. Interesting. Okay, might need to look into that. I wonder if my connection to the controller is causing problems. It's funny I always find issues on camera, but I'll show you guys what we're going through. I'll just disconnect this. We'll go back to that. Mode 1, 2. Ooh, okay, so we have got a wiring issue here. Basically what I've been doing, this shifter here is from an X84 X1 BMW with an 8 HP, but it is an E-Series 8 HP shifter, and what I like about it, it's actually got the pattern which should, I hope, should actually bolt into the E90 and be like properly mounted solidly, instead of using this. Now, I was just going to use that, but the F-Series shifter that I ordered, which come from the UK because they're worth $1 million in Australia. Where are we here? Which is this shifter here. Now, I bought it... God, falling over everything. So I bought it for a... I bought it as an F10 530 diesel shifter. I didn't actually check the part numbers. I should have checked the part numbers. I've messed up there. But I think it's actually out of a GT, an F-Series or an F10 GT, the weird hatchback 5 Series thing. So it's slightly taller than a normal one. And you can see it doesn't quite... Well, actually, it goes that way, I think. Doesn't quite fit in there properly. So I can't use the bracket that LAMIK supply for this style of shifter, which is a bit annoying, but not the end of the world. Then I realised that these should work. These are very similar to a DCT shifter, if anyone's watching. And I think I've got it working. However, I might need to double check why we're having that issue with the program mode not working when I plug the shifter in. It could be a voltage issue. This whole wiring setup's probably not the best, but let's plug it in. And I'll show you the shifter. Now, to get this working, I did have to repin the LAMIK wiring because this was actually supplied to go straight into an F10 5 Series shifter. The right one, not that one. So I've repinned it to suit the E-Series, and I've also set the CAN type in the Tuner Pro settings to 30, and if we hover over this here, you can see CAN 1 is off for the shifter. Sorry, 0 is off. CAN 1 is EMU data stream if you're using an aftermarket ECU, I assume. But the two we're interested in was setting it to 30 is the E60 8 HP connector, or E60 6 HP electronic shifter. So I've got it set to that, and it all seems to come to life. And you can see here, if we go... Oh, That's error 1. Error 1 is a solenoid issue. Oh, that's bad. That's really bad. Because I've epoxied the board now. Why would it be doing that? I wonder if this connector's seated properly. So I've just unplugged the box, we'll plug it back in. So there we've got all the error codes. I'll restart the LAMIK. Back to only error 33. Neutral, that's working. Program mode button doesn't work. Okay, this is kind of scary. I think we might have an issue with my wiring. I'll be back. Alright, so I've sort of checked everything over, and it appears that if I've got the USB connected and the shifter, and it's on for about 2 minutes, we get solenoid error 1. But also, as soon as I connect this shifter, which is not an approved by LAMIK shifter, and I haven't even told them that I'm going to use it yet, I've just sort of been playing with it under my own accord, which is probably not the right thing to do, but hey, we've got to learn somehow. As soon as I plug this shifter in, the mode switch stops working, which I didn't notice until we were filming, but you can see here, like, very quick reaction to the adjustments. 3, 4, 5. The way that works, this is just a potentiometer, and modes P1 through to 5, basically the higher the mode, the higher the voltage required on the sensor input for it to change the mode. So it's just it just outputs a different voltage. But as soon as I plug this in, and this starts up, which I assume will use a bit more current, so we'll plug that in. That's now on. We see we're in park, and I can shift to neutral, and that will go to neutral. So the CAN connection between this is working, but as soon as it's connected, the program switch stops working, which means it's sucking voltage out of that, which is kind of scary. I'm going to disconnect it and email LAMIK, tell them the part number that I'm using, and just probably get shouted at. But we'll worry about that later. But hopefully we can get this shifter working, because it is a direct bolt in, and you don't even need to modify the trim. Well, you can use a DCT trim, so hopefully it'll be good to go. So there's no customizing on the trim side. And we'll see how we go. And I'm also hoping, because it doesn't have a cable down here, normally these have like a actual shift cable for the 6 HPs, as will this one. In fact, I'll probably show you on here. Hopefully you can see it up in there. That shift cable comes out of that hole. I'm hoping to repurpose that hole for the wiring that goes down to the gearbox. Anyway, we'll worry about the electrical problems later on. I'm sure we'll get them sorted. I'm fairly confident it's not an issue with the wiring inside the box. Let's hope to God it's not, or else that'll be really painful, but we'll worry about it later. The rest of this episode is going to be on fitting up the transmission to the adapter plate. Let me turn this off so it stops the beeping. Actually, I'll just show you quickly. We've got Tuner Pro running there, and it is all connected to the box, because I can do this. Spinning the output shaft. We get RPM output, turbine speed. Ooh, ooh. So it is all working, which is kind of cool. It's being able to log what the gearbox does whilst you're driving it is going to be an interesting little tool when you start pushing the limits. Okay, so where do we start? So here is the adapter plate bolted up to the N54, and what you will notice initially is the starter motor is up at the top section here, where on the N57 the starter motor lives down in the bottom here. In fact, I think it's down there on the B58s. So the real problem that we actually have is the fact that the starter actually wants to stick out and go in to this section of the bell housing, and we've got to make some cuts. So what I'm going to do, I'll pull that adapter plate off. You can see how well it sort of fits up there. In fact, it's on the two dowels. There's a dowel there and a dowel there, which LAMIK do provide. Oh, might have to tap it off. Okay, she's off. In fact, I'm going to have to get some bolts and we'll bolt it up to the 8 HP. So I have the LAMIK adapter plate bolted to the 8 HP now. Again, this is an 8 HP 70 from an N57. It's just got a couple of bolts in there just to make sure it's basically lined up properly. And the starter motor from the N54 pokes through this gap here, which you would have seen just over there. In fact, that's a pretty good example of it there. It wants to poke through just like that. Now, you do have the starter motor mounts on this side of the N54 block, so you do have that 20 odd mil, 15 to 20 mil to basically keep the starter further away than just poking it straight on this surface here. But what we need to do is basically cut out about that much from the gearbox. Now, I've never done anything like this before. I was going to use a angle grinder and a cutoff wheel. However, I can't find a decent sized cutoff wheel. So I'm going to try it with a reciprocal saw. But the first thing I'm going to do is basically just mark up where to cut and probably cut much smaller hole than needed and just grind away if we need to, because I have got a grinding wheel for the angle grinder. Anyway, I'll make some plans and I'll give you an update before we start cutting. All right, so I have very professionally just marked it out roughly, and this is basically the shape we want to go for, and on that angle there and that angle there, I'm going to grab the reciprocal saw out. We'll try and give it a cut. What's the worst that could happen? Shouldn't say that, should I? Oh, and I will cover up the input shaft. We don't want any metal going in there. Now, I'm going for the reciprocal saw. I assume alloy is pretty soft. I've never done anything like this before. The blade might not be long enough, but we'll see. Let's just see how it goes. Initial cut, it's sort of like butter, and I didn't want to go any further. Okay, the old blade may be blunt. I'd say it is. Let me see if I can get a better blade. I didn't really think about how to go around the corner. But that's pretty much where I wanted it to cut. Alright, I'm going to cut the other side. Professional fabricator in meme spelling. Whoa! Whoa! Okay, that's that one cut. Again, really didn't think about how to go around the corner, because I'm a knob. But yeah, that's those two cuts on the angles I wanted. So how do I go across there? Okay, so we cut that one off. And I'm basically just going in at angles to get into the corners. Warm. That's that one off. And then bugger, I'll do the same the other way. So that is the mess we're left with after the reciprocal saw, and we'll just easily grind it down. Well, I meant to be really gentle, but I've taken way more material off than I intended. Let's see how close it is to fitting. All right, so I've just bolted the, oh my God, I might tied it up a little bit, but it doesn't really matter. No one's going to see it, apart from all these people that are watching this tutorial. So we've got the plate sort of loosely bolted up, and now it slides in to about there. So that's going to be more than enough room, I think. I think I need to test fit it. And through the art of editing magic, it's on first try. Not really. It took me about 5 goes. I had to keep taking material out of this side, but she is now bolted on. I also bolted the actual plate on. I only had it sitting on there before, but she's on and we have ample clearance. So that's the bell housing modification done. I have taken some measurements to make sure that the torque converter is going to be fine, but all I'm going to do now is take it off, clean it all, put the torque converter on, and it could be ready to bolt up for the last time. Getting close. All the bolts that LAMIK supply are actually spot on. Who would have thought? It's like they'd put the kit together themselves. Actually, and I will just show you guys quickly. That is with all of the bolts that LAMIK provide to bolt the plate on. Yeah, look in the business. All right. I'll clean this for the second time. Okay, so it's had a clean out, and yeah, pretty happy with that. Basically, what I want to do is just check torque converter clearance to the flex plate. Now, the flex plate sticks out about 15 mil past the turbo LAMIK adapter. So that means this torque converter needs to sit between 15 and, it's heavy, between 15 and 20 mil. Oh my God. Into the bell housing. Okay, now I have to just take my adjuster rod out because it's heavy and try and lock the trans a bit. That's gone back. All right. That's gone back all the way. I'm pretty sure that's where it's supposed to sit, with that little gap there. And, oh my God, I'm out of breath. Who would have thought lifting transmissions all day was going to be a lot of work? And we are... Oh yeah, right. So it is. The measurements are going to be... You're going to have to trust me because we're pretty crap on the light. Hang on, let me get a light. Okay, so this is kind of hard to do with the camera, especially with shitty lighting. I was trying to film as I measured, but I'm also using a tape measure, which isn't the best, but considering we have... Apparently, we need to be about 2 to 4 mil, in a range of 2 to 4 mil. And 4 being the top, 2 being the minimum-ish, apparently. We'll see. But long story short, what I did was space the washers on the N57 torque converter based on the LAMIK instructions. Now, when I measure how far the flex plate is from the face of the adapter, so that is going to be this surface here on the transmission, we end up with a measurement of, and I'll put it up on the screen, it's about 17 to 18 mil. So the torque converter sticks out of the adapter plate 17 to 18 mil, and that means that it's going to go into this area here, 17 to 18 mil, and the washers measure from this surface approximately, and it's hard to get on there with the right angle, but it's about 21 mil. So that 17 would put us at the limit, the 4 mil, and 18 mil would put us at the pretty safe zone. So I think we're safe. And don't forget, this has all been done based on LAMIK's instructions. Obviously, they've got these in cars running. They know that a 2.5 mil washer with this adapter plate works. So guys, I'm going to bolt it up. And torque converter's in. Actually, I'll fill the torque converter up with fluid first. That's what I'll do. I'll fill the torque converter up with fluid, then I'll bolt it in. All right, see you guys in a second. Okay, torque converter is back in with oil, and we've got about a litre of oil on the floor. That's why everything's now shiny. Oh my God, I knew this was going to happen. We're going to have oil dripping out of it, which got spilt. Might just take that off. Oh my God, quite a lot got spilt. This is just brake clean. Pop the little plastic thing out, and hopefully we'll catch most of it. All right, guys, I think it's actually ready to bolt on. All of the bolts on the engine are now torqued up. I'm going to position you in a cinematic place, and we'll... and actually, I'll just do a close-up. LAMIK actually do provide 2 dowels as well to help basically align the transmission before you bolt it up. All right, let's see if we can get it together with the torque converter in. Ooh, nervous. And the floor's super slippery. Who spilt a load of oil on the floor? Come on. Okay, I think we're close. Oh, bolts. I am pooped. Might just try and get it to pull up. That's the wrong size bit. Is that the right size bit? No. Where's that one? Might just try and get it to pull up. This isn't a good rattle gun. And one down here. Come on, can't get to it. And then the top one. Guys, we are up and mated. Yeah, all right. I mean, I can't see what the torque converter is doing, but I can feel it. Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, torque converter is not spinning. Of course, it's not going to spin. Interesting. All right, cool. It's on. In fact, while we're here, part of the LAMIK kit are these transmission adapters, and this is the original N54 transmission line, and with their adapter kit, well, adapters, we slide that one into the 8HP. Just put a little bit of oil on the O-ring. There's a fair bit of oil in there. Slide that one in, and then, actually, I'll have to adjust these transmission lines, but they will actually go in there and seal just like it is a 6HP. How good is that? Ooh. All right, in fact, I'll set that up. I need to adjust the bracket just there. And I'll get the other transmission mounts on. Woohoo! Okay, so I just had a quick look under the transmission, and the flex plate to torque converter spacing is spot on. Super happy with that. So this is through the inspection hole at the bottom, and that metal piece there is the flex plate, and then this part here is the torque converter. And if I can get my hand, I can spin it. Just, it is actually rubbing though. Yeah, you can hear it rubbing. But yeah, alignment is perfect. Woohoo! You can just hear the flex plate touching on the torque converter, so that is great. One thing that I'm going to do some thinking about before I finalize it and rush it today is the transmission lines. I've loosened everything off, and I'm at the point where I'm stretching out these joins here, and we still can't quite get it to line up without kinking it. So I don't want to bend it too much in case we crack these things or whatever. If anyone's got any ideas on how to extend them by, I don't know, about 15, 20 mil, that'd be great. But I will end this video off here. So we have cut the hole for the starter motor, albeit rather brashly, but it is there. Not a fabricator. One thing I will say with that, the angle grinder chews the alloy away in the bell housing. I wasn't really sure how soft the bell housing alloy was going to be. It's really soft. You could do it with a battery angle grinder, absolutely fine. I didn't need to cut it with the reciprocal saw. Just get a cut-off wheel and then a grinding wheel, and you'll nail it. It is super easy. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that's all gone together. Just got to sort out the transcooler, mount the shifter. Oh, and I will email LAMIK about using the wrong shifter and just see if they have any input on. And the GoPro went flat. But yeah, I was just saying I will email LAMIK. They normally reply pretty quickly about using the wrong shifter. Just get clarification as if there's anything I'm doing wrong or why that program switch is stopping working, or it could be because it's on the bench setup. I really don't know. There's definitely some weird voltages going on when I use that bench power supply. I should probably buy a new one. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. The transmission's on. I'm definitely happy about that. And yeah, we'll leave it there. Peace.